Here we go. Okay. Hello. Welcome to the first live stream for Rookie Roost. I'm Sean. This is Rookie Roost. And I thought after a year of not putting out any videos, I would just do this, something a little different, and could take some questions. Or I kind of got a loose sort of format I'm going to run through for this, and we can just kind of hang out for a bit and catch up. First, thank you to all the new subscribers. There have been actually quite a few over the past year, considering there have been no new videos that entire time. I can only assume people are subscribing because they're hoping I'm going to keep doing something and putting out something new, and I will be. Hopefully very soon there will be a new video. And I should note as well, there's a big delay with the stream, so as far as chat coming in and me replying, it's like 30 seconds. That's a lot longer than I thought it would be. But anyways, hello. So hello, Nick Knack. Hello, Tensalot. And welcome to it. So 2019 was a very, very busy year. The last video I put out was about weighing the tiny house. That went really well, and I was able to tow it over to my parents' house and test out the electrical and the plumbing, and that went really well. But after that, we just put it back in the storage lot, and that was kind of it. That was back in last April. And in May, and I have slides, in May, we took the tiny lifestyle a different direction and did a road trip down to California. And slept in the car pretty much half the time, doing kind of campsites, and the other half was Airbnb. And so that was fun. Saw the redwoods and all that. It was good. It was a fun trip, and it was really kind of a trial run for what we wanted to do later in the year, that summer, which was a road trip across Canada, which most of it, or maybe at least half of it, I would say, was camping and sleeping in the car. So we really wanted to make sure that was going to work out, because that was like a 6 or 7 week trip, and had to make sure that sleeping in the car was actually going to be feasible. And it was. And so our view every morning was the trees through the big kind of skylight. Sweet slides. I know, thank you. I thought it might help with a little bit of something to look at other than me this entire time. And yeah, so the view out the car was really nice. The California trip went really well. We drove a ton in kind of a short time, but not nearly as much as what we were going to do going across Canada. The Canada trip was a lot of driving, but it was really nice to see the whole country, and definitely learned some more things about sleeping in cars, which would come in handy even later in the year. But anyway, before the Canada trip, but after the California trip, the beginning of the summer was really busy again as well, because I took on some more do-it-yourself projects. I ended up building an office area at my old job, and that's the picture that's up now. At least that's kind of halfway through. And that's sort of the finished product, at least as far as I worked on it. After that, they painted it and decorated it, and it looks really cool now. So tiny house again took the back seat. Meanwhile, other projects definitely got completed. And after that, we were moving on. We were leaving our place in Vancouver, and our first stop was over on Vancouver Island, and we needed to find a little temporary home for the cats. There's the cat tree strapped to the back of the car. So that was interesting. We had a ton of stuff in the car there. And from there, we were heading up the island to catch a ferry. And I have no idea what slide's next, because I didn't pay attention to that when I did this. Okay, so here's the next big one. We were doing all this because we were heading up to the edge of the world to get married. So that's about all I'm going to say about it. We went up to Haida Gwaii, which was, well, okay, let's say a little bit more about it. It's pretty remote, and so that was a lot of fun. Just us and the photographer, an elopement wedding. And so that was like the biggest, kind of craziest thing we did all year. But the crazy didn't end there. As soon as we got finished over on Haida Gwaii. We were headed back to the lower mainland of kind of the Vancouver area, but the ferries got all screwed up because of weather. Ended up sleeping overnight on a ferry, which was, I guess, always the plan. But we woke up, basically we didn't move. We slept on the ferry in the port and ended up going the next day, and then missed our longer ferry. Anyway, we ended up having to drive all the way around BC to get back to the lower mainland, which was a nice primer for the next leg of the trip, which was the entire Canada drive. And then we kind of prepared for that, had a couple days just to see people and get organized and make last minute decisions on what we're going to take in the car, living super tiny, or at least as tiny as we could. We, of course, discovered we could have been much more tiny as far as the travel was concerned. But you always learn that kind of halfway through the trip. Oh, I didn't need anywhere near what I brought. But it was fun. Here's a picture in Ottawa. And we did make it... Oh, before we get to that, the trip was half about food. We ate a lot. And so this is me sitting at the campfire. Half the trip was camping in the car. A lot of fun. Got pretty good at making fires, which was a skill I certainly didn't have before that. But yeah, a lot of food. Came back weighing a little more, for sure. There was more gas spent on the way back. But yeah, made it all the way to the East Coast. That's Prince Edward Island. Went to Nova Scotia. And then went really fast on our way back. We went through the States on the way back because it's just a little bit quicker. Got stuck in some snowstorms in Montana. That was crazy. But we made it back for Thanksgiving and Halloween, which was nice. Halloween's my favorite holiday, and so there we are. I'm a Wookiee. My wife is a Ewok. And we had some friends over, which feels like a very distant memory, hanging out with friends, considering the way things are right now. But we're looking forward to being able to hang out with some friends again, hopefully soon. And after that, we jumped on a plane and went to New Zealand. And I'm not sure if I've mentioned it much on this channel, but I actually lived in New Zealand for about 3 years. So that was really fun. I got to show my wife around where I lived for that time, and we explored the entire country, basically. Again, a really long road trip, all done in, well, mostly done in a camper van. Way more spacious than the car we were in all throughout Canada and California. So it was kind of luxurious after all that. Love the skinny friend, yes, our skeleton buddy. He was really the life of the party. Or was he the death of the party? Ha 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 ha. Anyway, so New Zealand was a lot of fun. And while we were there, we had to find a place to live because we no longer had anywhere to live. We knew we wanted to move to the island off the coast of BC. So we started looking while we were there, and that went actually really well. We put up an ad for like us looking for a place, which is something I've never done before, and it worked out. That's how we got the place that we're in right now, this duplex that we live in, is that they actually found us, and we put up pictures of the cats, and they loved the fact that we had pets, and so we were kind of top of their list, and it worked out really well. And so we're very happily living on the island now, and are very suddenly stuck on the island. We haven't been back to Vancouver in a while due to, of course, this little incident that's happening in the world that's taking its time resolving itself. I'm sure it's going to be a long time before we're all back to normal, if normal ever exists again. But because of that happening, because of the whole pandemic situation, we decided we really wanted to get the tiny house moved ASAP so that, if things get worse and they just completely lock down kind of non-essential travel over the ferry, which they've already kind of done, at least certain restrictions on the ferry and certainly not as many sailings. So we wanted to get the tiny house over here as quick as possible. So I did post something on Instagram a little while ago about that. What order have I put these in? First thing we did, so this is our kitchen before the reno. This is going back to the DIY stuff, the Rookie Roost theme of the channel, just to keep things a little on brand. So I've been redoing the kitchen with permission and support from our landlord. and expected to have more help to do it, but it was like, I think it arrived on March 17th. That's when all this IKEA stuff came, and that was like the thick of everything shutting down. But I managed to get pretty much all of it done. We're still waiting on the countertop and a few other little pieces to get finished. But it's really nice, and maybe I'll show some finished pictures at some point or make a video out of it. I don't know, probably not. But anyway, maybe I'll post something on Instagram. But yes, that's going really well. And so mid this kitchen reno, there it is. That's when we grabbed the tiny house and moved it to the island. And that was certainly an experience. But I've mentioned it the last time I moved it. The house handles really well. I'm pretty surprised just how well it handles on the trailer. You can really barely tell when you're just cruising on the highway. You hit some bumps and it kind of shakes you around, but that's like any trailer. So super impressed, and it is now not the slide I thought it was going to be. This is another DIY project that I maybe should have made a little video out of. This is paint in our garage, and I actually used this as sort of a second studio, kind of a gym and just a nicer room to be in than most garages. And so the way I did this is, just watching the stream come back here. It's so delayed. Anyway, the way I did this is actually used a projector and did mountains on the wall that way. And then took a pencil, made that line basically of the mountain range and painted that in. That was a lot of fun. Anyway, trying to keep things a little rookie roosty over here. And then, oh yeah, occupying our time making cat forts as well. That's the most important of all the DIY projects that we do. And there are two in there. There's the other one poking out. They were hanging out in here a few minutes ago, but they knew something was going down, so they vacated. Here's another DIY project in the garden. So this is another thing that I was considering filming, but there's just been so much chaos and so much work lately that it's more just like get things done so that I can move on, and filming makes everything last at least 4 times as long as it should. So anyway, that was fun, and here we go. Here is what I was getting back to. Of course, the image that we started with. This is the tiny house part in front of our house. We're lucky to have this kind of gravel path right next to the driveway. It's definitely big next to the house. I mean, it's a tiny house, but it's at least a story and a half. And so this is where it is just kind of temporarily until we can figure out how to move it to its next location. I'm not going to talk too much about that location, except that we're really excited to get it there. It's going to be super cool, and that's where the house will be finished finally. I'm going to do a little bit of work on it here, just kind of getting time to do it in between all the other things I'm trying to get finished right now. But I'm looking forward to getting it moved, working on it, finishing it, and then hanging out in it where it's being moved to. It's going to be a really cool spot to be able to just like kind of explore, not living in it, but definitely using it for its intended purpose. You know, having a bed in there, having a little entertaining area, using the kitchen, just stuff like that. It's going to be really cool, a lot of fun, and I'm going to make videos about all that. And so that's kind of the future of the tiny house portion of this channel, is to make videos of it being finished and how it functions. And then, you know, now and then videos about sort of just, I don't know, maintenance or repair or things that we're discovering, like obstacles. And I mean, you look at some of the other tiny house channels, and they talk about what all the challenges that come up after the house is done and you're just sort of existing in it, and things pop up that you really didn't expect. And you got to find solutions to them, and then maybe that can help people who build them in the future from avoiding those fixes later down the road if they kind of know what to look out for. But obviously, with the tiny house being complete, there are only so many types of videos that I can make around it. So the channel will either kind of disappear or become as slow as it's been in the last year, or I'm going to have to do something else with it. Back in January of last year, I did sort of hint at that I'm going to redo a lot of videos, because I want to take it from the very beginning again, take all the old footage and splice in a lot of new stuff, potentially a lot of sort of 3D and graphic stuff overlaying things so that I can go more in depth about each step, especially with hindsight built in, so I can maybe kind of correct some of the things I did wrong back then, at least for what people might do in the future. And that's going to be a really intense project. There's a lot of filming I still want to do for it. I'm trying to make it kind of really high production value. I've got some new cameras since then. Definitely learned a lot of new filming techniques. It's going to be a lot of fun, but it's going to take a lot of time. And so I don't want to rush it. But that's going to be sprinkled out eventually. I'll probably try to film a bunch of episodes and release them weekly so that there aren't any gaps. And it'll kind of be like a season. And that'll be fun. That's just going to be a complete project. But between that and in addition to that, I want to try and film as many kind of DIY projects as I can, because I do a lot of sort of just random, either home improvement or just kind of really random. I'm always tinkering with something or experimenting with things. Even this stream thing, I'm considering whether or not I should have a section of the channel that goes over sort of digital tutorial type stuff. There's a ton of that information already on YouTube, but I'm mostly learning all this as I go. And kind of the theme of this channel, I think, is sort of watching how a complete beginner would do something and the pitfalls that I constantly run into, while also showing the resources that I'm looking at to learn this stuff. So that's kind of something I'm coming up with the idea of. I don't know if that'd be something that's interesting or if it belongs really on this channel. We'll kind of see how the audience unsubscribes or grows with that kind of thing. But that's basically it. Speaking of the future of that. So you might notice the channel has been renamed to Shuno's Rookie Roost. Shuno is an online name that I've used since I was a kid. And I've kind of toyed with the idea of branding everything under it, so that, because I'm doing some like tech stuff, I'm doing some gaming stuff, I'm doing some music stuff. But I think I'm going to go back to just calling it Rookie Roost, but I'm going to change it to then Rookie Roost DIY. Just kind of brings it out a little bit more to imply that it's going to be a little more than just a tiny house. But beyond that, I forgot to show the videos. I spent so much time prepping these. This is a video. Okay, so part of this was this is back before we went off to get married and to have the the Canadian road trip. When we were moving out, we had to store all of our stuff. And so this is what the tiny house lived like for, I guess, about 8 months. It was actually a lot fuller than this. This, it was like half of what we owned went into the house. Every bin, every box. It was kind of insane. And now and then I'd have to get in there and find something, especially when we were home in October and home in January, and we just needed a few things to make it through before we could move everything. And this is an unedited video, so I apologize if it swings around and makes you sick. But yeah, even the loft was just completely packed full. It was pretty intense. So that happened. And we also had a little video that I meant to show of the tiny house just leaving the storage lot for the last time. It's so nice to know that it's done. It's not going back there. It is with us here now. Anyway, so that's what the videos that I meant to stick in there as part of the seamless format I'm doing here as a live video for you, the audience. Anyway, let's talk about some other things I'm doing in the future. So Rookie Roost is going to hopefully expand, grow a little bit, raise its production value. It's going to be a little slow. Stay subscribed so that you can see when those new videos and new projects take foot. But other than that, I am currently doing streaming Mondays and Wednesdays, and then just kind of randomly throughout the week. I'm trying to aim for about 7 p.m. on Pacific time. And I do a morning stream for anyone up early. It's mostly like an exercise type stream. We play a game called Ring Fit Adventure. By we, I mean me. I don't know why I always say we when it comes to these videos. It's me. And so that's just a lot of fun. It's just kind of a come hang out. I'm playing games. Sometimes they're kind of relaxed, kind of kickback games, and so it's more of just a hangout and a chat. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, if you're into video games, or even if you're not, if you're just into hanging out and chatting, come on by. It's a lot more interactive than something like this where I kind of have a script and I'm just going. It's more just cameras on for 2 hours. Let's hang out. So that's over on my Twitch channel. It's not on Rookie Roost. It's not on YouTube. So it's twitch.tv/ShunoPlease. If it's not already in the description, it will be in the description. I actually meant to have a thing come up on the screen. Maybe I'll edit that in. Oh, you know what I'll do? I'll put it in the chat. Brilliant. twitch.tv/ShunoPlease. That should pop up any moment. So yeah, come hang out Mondays and Wednesdays, randomly on the weekend. You can turn on notifications there if you're into that kind of thing. Other than that, no, there is no other than that. So I'm doing streaming. I'm going to work, the Rookie Roost website is going to be a thing. I'm going to do, it's mostly going to be the same information that I want to put on the YouTube channel, but it's going to happen, I hope, sooner. I'm just going to be writing like crazy and creating that. It's not going to be on its own URL. It's going to go under my production company URL, which I'll throw up here for now as well. There's nothing there right now, but eventually the first thing that will be there will be Rookie Roost content. So bookmark it. I'll be advertising it all over this channel, so you'll see it. And that's it. That's all I wanted to do. That's the live stream. That was fun. It's nice to see some people in the chat. I think my mom's there. Hi, Mom. Nick Knack. Nice to see you here. You were here quick. And Tensalot. Wink. And I know a few other people who are watching. We've got about 9 viewers right now. If they have any questions, I'll hang out for a couple more minutes. Of course, you won't have that for another 30 seconds, so we will have a bit of a delay, but why not? It's a live stream. So, what else about the tiny house these days? I haven't worked on it at all since it has arrived here. It's been actually kind of storage again. I've been throwing a few things just to get them out of my way into the tiny house. Although it's fun to be able to go around as we unpack, because we just moved here in January, as we find things that are like, oh, we have 2 sets of cutlery or something. We can put that in the tiny house, and that'll be the tiny house's cutlery going forward. So that's been fun. How did I meet my wife? We met online. I'm not going to divulge too much information, but we met online a couple years ago. And actually, it's kind of funny. What we really bonded over at first, like the first thing we talked about, well, other than Star Wars, was tiny houses. Because actually, she's got someone in the family who built a tiny house. And so knowing kind of what went into that process, and it really told her a lot about who I was right away. And so that kind of got a lot of conversation going, and she's just amazing in general. And so we certainly hit it off, and here we are today, very happily married and living together in our new location. And we're both lucky that we can work from home. I'm doing sales, and she does kind of project managey type work, and that's as far as I'm going to talk about anything like that. And yeah, so we're just kind of hanging out together every day because that's all we're allowed to do these days. But it's going nice. It's, as far as quarantine goes, we couldn't be luckier, really, being stuck here together and being able to do what we still do and survive. I know a lot of people are really struggling right now. I mean, everyone's struggling right now. Like, if you're not, even if you're able to work or with somebody and you're not alone, like, it just sucks not being able to do the things you're used to doing and seeing the people you like to be able to see. I'm just rambling, but if there are any other questions, or if there are not, we will call this the end of the stream. I'll give it another 30 seconds or so. Um, yeah, if this is the kind of thing that people are into, we'll see how, if anyone jumps into the Twitch um, chat when I do that Mondays and Wednesdays. So I'll be on there tomorrow night. And maybe we'll do some more Rookie Roost streams in the future. I was thinking about doing this. Hey, Dad. I was thinking about doing this in the tiny house, but the amount of setup to move my equipment out there and the Wi-Fi would have been kind of crappy. But maybe I can do a stream with my phone or something from in the tiny house. That'd be fun. And I've got this new, I'm excited to use this. I've got this new microphone. It's just a wireless mic system. And so the videos going forward should be much better sound. Sound is definitely something I always try to pay attention to, but it's tough when you've got a microphone way over there and trying to stick your head under a floor, whatever weird things that you have to do building a tiny house. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. Thanks for hanging out. Videos hopefully soon. I've got a GoPro now, so I think that's going to be fun to play with, strapping it to pieces of wood and swinging it around. Would love to know if I could redesign the tiny house. What would I have done differently? Oh, so many things. Oh, that's something I actually wanted to mention. I totally glossed over it. I would love to build another tiny house. I don't know if that will ever happen, but I may end up putting the current house up for sale and seeing if it just sells kind of for what I priced it for. And, basically it was designed without kind of an actual specialization. It was just like, what's the most basic functional design that would kind of promote wanting to be in the house. It's a really small house too. So if I ever got the chance, I would redo it altogether. I definitely wouldn't, I don't think I would even put a loft in if I could avoid it, just because that's kind of an obstacle for people who may not have the mobility of climbing. I mean, the ladder that's in there right now is pretty steep. I'm going to try to work on getting it at least deeper steps so that it's a little more comfortable to climb. But if I don't build a house, like another tiny house, it would be really fun to even build a kind of a mobile studio, so like a studio on wheels. I haven't done music in a long time, but it's something I really enjoy doing. I would definitely use it for filming and just, general kind of all the techie stuff that I like doing. That would be a really cool space to have it dedicated for that kind of thing. But it all comes down to whether or not, right now we're renting. It'd be nice to have a property where we could actually park something like that. I'm not going to build something if I don't have an actual need for it, or at least a practical use for it, I guess. But definitely, yeah, if I was to redesign that house, the outdoor storage jumps to mind really quickly, because that was just a nightmare to build and really not that functional of a design. I'd probably try to put a real toilet in there, or at least have it like ready for a real toilet to go in, because you never know, maybe it ends up being somewhere where that's actually possible, and then you don't have to deal with the hassle of a composting toilet. Yeah. So unless Nick Nack has another question, thanks for keeping the stream alive. Okay, I think I'm actually going to sign this off. It was fun. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. And we will see you next time on The Roost. Let's see if I can figure out a decent cutaway here. Let's cut away to this one. Okay.